equivalent word for consumer in English is customer, but in Hindi they say customer. जो कष्ट करके मरता है वो है customer, which is a very sad state of affairs of consumer. But then people say, sir, the equivalent in Hindi is also very good. What is it? It is उपभोक्ता. जो सबसे ज़्यादा भोगता है वो है उपभोक्ता, and so on and so forth. So that means whichever language you go to, the plight of the consumer is, you know what, वो कष्ट करके मरने वाला ही है.
Sir, customer and consumer both are different.
Well, it depends at different degrees, you know. It depends on which side of the bottle you are seeing, whether it is half full or half empty. A customer and a consumer, sir, you are a learned person. I don't want to start the meeting arguing with a learned person like you. In fact, if I do that, I will have to go back and study my law books all over again. Because you will teach me law, you will teach me everything. No, please. I admit defeat. The important thing is that today we will have 4 people who will speak. Then we have 3 or 4 people who will discuss some issues. But professionally, doctors are supposed to be always late. You know that when you go to a doctor, he calls you at 8 o'clock and he calls you into his chamber at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, sometimes later than that. So I have some sort of a stigma attached. Doctor means always late, not late doctor. Late Dr. Kamath, Dr. Kamath who comes late. So who always comes, doctors always come late. It is a sort of a established norm. Doctor means late aata hai. So to prove that is wrong, I normally take revenge, particularly when I become chairman, by telling all the speakers, you have to speak only for 10 minutes. If you are given 10 minutes, you have to speak 10 minutes. Why? Because you say doctors are always late. So you show that you are in time as a good patient, that you will be in time. So this is the first warning to the 4 people who are sitting here and those who are going to discuss thereafter, that 10 minutes means 10 minutes. I will request the organizers to keep a bell here. At the end of 9 minutes, a small bell.
Today. This is the topic I chose. Next page, please. Okay, I would like to start with the UN guidelines on right to safety. UN guidelines claims this to be an indisputable right. And it discusses about 2 kinds of safety. One is the physical safety. Governments to adopt appropriate measures including legal systems, safety regulations, standards and maintain safety records to ensure that products are safe for use. And distributors and retailers to ensure safety of products. Consumers to be instructed on proper use of goods and informed of the risks involved. Vital safety information to be conveyed to consumers. And also governments to adopt policies under which if a product is found to be seriously defective to constitute a substantial hazard even when properly used, manufacturers should recall the product, and if it is not, if it doesn't happen within the reasonable time, they should be adequately compensated. Next. The second kind of safety that UN guidelines discusses is about standards for safety and quality of consumer goods and services. Governments to formulate and implementation of standards, voluntary and other at the national and international levels for the safety and quality of consumer goods and services and give them appropriate publicity. National standards for product safety and quality to be reviewed periodically in order to ensure conformity to generally accepted international standards. Governments to encourage and ensure the availability of facilities to test and certify the safety, quality and performance of essential consumer goods and services. Next please. Yeah. So our Constitution of India, how it addresses right to safety, the fundamental rights talks about safety provisions. Article 21 talks about protection of life and personal liberty. No person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. Article 24, prohibition of employment of children in factories, etc. No child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engaged in any other hazardous employment. Article 32 is on enforcement of such rights. Next, please. And our Consumer Protection Act defines right to safety as the right to be protected against the marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property. Next, please. What is the present scenario? Despite various legislations in place and proactive steps taken in certain areas over the years, the situation in general continues to remain bleak. There is total lack of information on whether a product or a service is safe or not, lack of consumer awareness about their safety-related rights, lack of proactive measures on the part of manufacturers, service providers to introduce, comply with safety norms, and lack of interest on the part of regulators to implement safety norms. Next page. So I have picked on a few areas and thought we could look into a few areas. I'm sure there are many other areas where safety is really a questionable thing today. First is the food safety. Adulteration is rampant. In fact, a recent study done by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, they took milk samples from all the states, and the results, I'm sure most of you will know, was very alarming. Most of the samples were adulterated, and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka were marginally better. In Tamil Nadu it was 12%. 12% of the sample was adulterated. Karnataka it was 23%, I think, and Gujarat it was 70%. Maharashtra it was somewhere around 63-64%. And there were states which were totally 100% adulterated. The milk was found to be adulterated, like West Bengal, Jharkhand, Bihar, and all these states. And also I should mention that Goa and Pondicherry were two states, two union territories where all samples were not adulterated. And they also subsequently did sampling of food. I think food samples were collected and tests were done, and they were also found to be adulterated. Next, the hygiene in food joints is again a big question. Misleading advertisements happen to be the order of the day, and pesticides residue and injection of chemicals for artificial ripening of fruits. These are also issues of concern today. And we have the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, which is an unified law to regulate the entire range of food products in the market. And it looks at manufacturing, processing, storage, distribution, sale and import of food as well as to ensure the availability of safe and wholesome food for human consumption. It also provides for involvement of consumers to fix responsibility on fix irresponsible food sellers. Like consumers can take sample, go test and complain to the food authority. Next page please. Actions include all these: contamination, unsafe and substandard food, providing false information, unhygienic manufacturing, processing misbranding, violation of standards, misleading advertisements. Everything is covered under that. We have to see the effectiveness of this because it is a recent legislation and it came into force, I think, only sometime in August 2011. So we will have to wait and see how it's going to work. Next view, please. Healthcare safety. This again is a major issue. No standard treatment guidelines spelled out. No minimum standards spelled out for private hospitals. At least as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, we have the Private Clinics Establishment Act, which has not come into force yet, and it has been lying in the thing for long, and it has not been given life yet. And hygiene in hospitals is a major issue. Irrational prescriptions, prescription of drugs not indicated by the disease either due to wrong diagnosis or as a defensive measure, prescription of expensive brands. As Amajit pointed out, there is no generic prescription in private practices, and nexus between doctors and pharma companies is a major thing that is happening. Promotional practices adopted by pharma companies, because of which consumers are compelled to buy expensive brands. And then irrational combination of drugs is also a major issue. Also, drugs banned in most developed countries are continued to be sold in the Indian market. For example, nimesulide, I would say. Nimesulide is banned in most of the developed countries, but in India, I think it's only under 12 it's banned. And it is available in the market even today. And no standardization mandated for laboratories, diagnostic centers. This is another pity actually. Next slide please. And drinking water also I would like to bring under healthcare safety, because waterborne diseases are on the rise. So drinking water, a luxury indeed. Availability, quality and access a big question today. Violation of rights to basic needs, safety and healthy environment, highly polluted and waterborne diseases on the increase as I mentioned earlier. The right to access clean drinking water is fundamental to life and therefore duty of the state under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution to provide clean drinking water free from microbes and substances that constitute a threat to a person's health and be of an acceptable color, odor and flavor to its citizens. Right to safe drinking water and necessity for healthy survival. Legally enforceable safe drinking water standards very much needed today. Product safety. How safe are the cosmetics that we use? Most people go in for substandard quality as they cost less. No ingredients listed in many products. If at all there, then in fine print. Even if readable, common man cannot be expected to be aware of the ingredients that could turn out to be toxic, leading to health problems like skin disorders, allergies, eye problems, etc. And how safe are the electrical and electronic appliances that we buy? Product quality certification is not mandated for almost all products. Market filled with products that have no standards and thus safety risk is very high. Next page please. Yeah. How safe are the toys that kids play with? Manufacturing sector is largely unorganized. This particular chemical used in toys to soften PVC. Permissible limit in the EU, European Union is less than 0.1%, in India ranging up to 16.2%. Toxic and it is potentially harmful. BAS guidelines addresses only I understand, I am not an authority on the subject, but I understand there are combinations of this particular chemical available, and this BAS guidelines addresses only this individual chemical, whatever is there. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah. So, no safety standards, certification specified. Road safety next. Condition. Yeah. This is the last thing. No, there is one other slide. So, road safety, condition of roads. I'm sure in most states it's absolutely pathetic. As far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, it's very bad actually. Roads are bumpy, bone rattling when you drive on those roads. And pedestrian safety, there are no pavements for pedestrians basically in most roads. That is another big issue. Use of helmets. Section 129 of the Motor Vehicles Act talks about wearing of protective headgear. Every person driving or riding shall, while in public place, wear a protective headgear. But this enforcement lies with the state. Here I would say that, okay, let us not wait for the government to enforce. It is our head and our life after all. Why not consumers or the public be more responsible and use helmet themselves to protect themselves? So BAS standards, BAS has spelled out standards on how a helmet should be, and this is often flouted. Wearing seatbelts, Supreme Court order makes it mandatory, and use of cell phones while driving constitutes dangerous driving, an offence under Section 184 of the Motor Vehicles Act. Here also consumer individuals role play actually. Way forward. Essential is standardization of safety related all safety related products and services, and need of the hour is, though we may have numerous legislations, regulations and commissions in place, implementation of the provisions of the law in its fullest sense, more rigid measures to be adopted to add more meaning, penal provisions to be stringent in order to ensure that offences are not repeated, and timely action is also the need of the hour. Symbols like indicating safety of the product, nutritional value with regard to food items on the pack would be a consumer-friendly initiative. Consumers to be responsible, follow the rule of the land, be alert and raise questions and demands where necessary in order to make the authorities abide by the law enforced, and consumer education and awareness is much required. Thank you.
I directly coming to the direct point, that is my presentation here is on right to redressal. So this is the final findings on which why there is a delay in disposal of the cases. So we will discuss one by one. So adjournment sought by advocates and parties. First one, that is the highest reason for delay. Why advocates are appointed representing consumers? What is the reason why layman is not appearing before court, consumer forum, party in person? So here majority of the customers or consumers taking representation from the advocates because they feel that still there is a complication or complicated procedure. So we have to simplify that procedure. For example, even though we say there is no format to file a complaint, but if you write on white paper, they will not accept. So there should be a format for that. Again, as usual in regular court, the title of the court, party's name, full description, then chronologically you have to mention the facts clearly, then cause of action you have to clearly show because of the limitation time, 2 years limitation is there, then you have to mention court fee, then you have to mention jurisdiction, pecuniary jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction, you have to mention all those things. Then at the end, your prayer, then the verification clause. Even though there is a verification clause, again you have to attach affidavit. Whatever I am saying is correct. Why? When you are swearing, when you are in your complaint itself, you are mentioning everything, whatever I have mentioned above is true. And you are signing on that. Again, you have to attach one affidavit. Again, for affidavit, he has to go through notary and other procedures. So, we have to reduce that complication. And see, we cannot avoid also. So, in these circumstances, provide full information to the customers. So, there should be, as the George said, there should be the reception or some resource person should be there in those district consumer forum or wherever forum or commissions are established, so that if anybody wants to file a case, there should be a person who can guide. And also they can provide the formats also free of cost. They can provide format. This is the format you can fill. If any problem is there, you come and I will assist you. So if that type of help is given to the customers, we can reduce the advocate representation in the court. And once you appoint an advocate, he is not only depending on your case, he is having many cases. So he has to appear in all the cases. So that's why it is automatically he will not take it very seriously and dispose of quickly. So that's one reason. And as I have said, the parties in rural sector who are in taluka place, they have to come to the district place, they have to file, and see if it is a very small negligible amount, they will not bother, because the expenditure what they are spending to file a case is more than what they have suffered in the transaction. So they will not go. So they will not file. So if they want to file, then again advocate will be there. So these are the practical problems at the grassroots level. To avoid this problem, yes, I mean maybe you know that there is a bill pending before the Parliament. Already it is passed in Lok Sabha. Now it is pending before the Rajya Sabha. That is Consumer Amendment Bill 2011. In that, yes, it's a good move that central government wants to establish branches of district consumer forum at the taluka places. So in taluka places, wherever the state government notifies, so in that place the district forum can sit and hear those matters. So that problem will be solved once it comes into force. Second thing, the lack of adequate administrative and support staff. See, maybe literally you maybe visited the consumer forum. What is the pathetic condition those consumer courts are? Yes, we are saying that the disposal rate is very less, or there is a delay. We are alleging, but at the same time what they are suffering at their level, we are not addressing their problem. Without addressing their problem, if you allege like that, there is no solution. First you have to address their problem. What is the problem they are facing? So if you solve that problem, automatically 50% of the problem will be solved. For example, See, in district consumer forum, one attender and one typist on contract basis, and there is a rented room or there is no facility, nothing is given to district consumer forum, and they have to depend on the regular courts, civil courts. So they have to beg before the regular courts to give us papers like that. That is the pathetic position we are facing, especially. And another thing, why? What is the problem in this? Because even though central government is doing a lot of things, but ultimately it has to be implemented by the state governments. Majority of the state governments in India, they are least bothered about the consumer protection issues. So they are not giving any good funding to the establishment of these district consumer forums or state commission. Even today, majority of the district consumer forums, even state commissions are in rented building. Even though central government gives lot of funding, they are unable to share little bit whatever deficit is there and construct the building. And they are paying every month in lakh as a rent to the those buildings. So these are the willness, or you may say that state government's will is not in implementing effectively the Consumer Protection Act. There we are failing. That is the main base probably the continuation of this consumer exploitation. So once we solve those problems, what these people, consumer forum is facing, so then automatically we can improve on that. And another thing, when we call for some of the programs, they don't have fund to attend the seminar also. They don't have fund. And then why the intellectual so-called strong people are not entering the consumer forum? Because they say one side it's a full-fledged job. You cannot do any other job once you joined as a member. And what they are paying salary? 10,000. After deduction 8,000 or 9,000 they are getting. In Bangalore city 8,000. How they have to survive? They have to run the family. So 8,000, 9,000 run family is very difficult. So we have to see good members should be entered into the district consumer forum. That is the object of the entering class. The social workers entering into the consumer forum. This type of facility is nowhere in the other courts, but this facility is in the consumer forum. That is also failed. And another thing, political appointments are also there. We have to curtail that political appointment, and that's why in new amendment bill there is a new definition: political party. Usually we know that all members belongs to the government. For example, those members belongs to the governing party of that particular state government. So now in the amendment bill, once they have appointed as a member, they have to cease to be a member of that particular political party. If they continue to be along with the membership, they are member to the political party, then that is the one of the ground for disqualification of that member from the membership. So that is inserted. Then educational status of the complainant, so that will be solved by giving at the grassroots level the awareness program through the voluntary consumer organization. And another problem what we are facing in India, these NGOs are not what for developed countries are having good funding. So these people are also facing funding also. So if the government, state government and central government provides good funding, and they will do their job properly at the grassroots level. Unless you fund them, you are expecting a lot, but not providing basic infrastructure. Then vacancies of member and president in consumer forum. So 6 months advance they have to appoint, that is there, but again implementation is not proper by the state governments. Limited number of benches, yes, the district forum now they are coming out with the benches at the taluka place, that will be solved. And at the same time, let it be one national commission at the south also, South India, one national commission bench in South India also to solve those problems. Then limited infrastructure, there is no computer, nothing is available in the district forum. So that has to be solved. Delay in lab testing. So maybe you know that in India, even though the Ministry of Consumer Affairs sent a notification to all the state governments, you should upgrade all government laboratories at the international level. But state governments are once again least bothered. So, and also if number of laboratories are more, automatically quick the report will be coming out from these laboratories. Limited training initiatives to the members, yes, because only if it is fully funded, then only they will attend. If it is fully funded by the organizers, then only they will attend. If they say, we will provide you accommodation, food, everything, only you have to bear the traveling allowance. That also they are unable to bear. So that is the position of the members. And financial status of the complainant. So anyway, the BPL card holders, there is no fees for that, but only thing is if it is simplified, no affidavit, nothing, then that can be solved. And delay in service of summons and notice. So there's to avoid these problems. Yes, the again amendment bill is having the electronic complaint as well as electronic mode of all types of these services. So if you have the email address, yes, through email also you can send summons, that can be solved. And even nowadays the people are very busy in their activities. Everybody knows that, yes, I exploited by this service provider, this manufacturer. He knows that, he is not illiterate. He knows that, yes, I am exploited by this man. But he don't have time to exercise his right. Because why should I waste my time? This attitude encourages the manufacturer and service provider to go with their whatever original trend is there of the exploitation. So we should exercise our rights, even though it is small or big, we should exercise our right, then only we can stop this type of exploitation. Then even the electronic complaint definition is added in the bill, and now you can, to avoid the waste of time, you can send a electronic complaint along with all the documents. You can pay court fee through electronically. So these problems, these things will solve the problems of busy people. Then due to heavy pendency, those things, once you provide all infrastructure, all those things, those pendency will reduce. And another thing, there is no control over your district forum, higher authority, because these consumer forums are not coming under High Court or Supreme Court. It is completely coming under state government and central government. So that's another problem. The state government are not bothered, serious, or the higher commission is not looking seriously what lower courts are, lower district forums are doing. So if the control is improved, then we can reduce this heavy pendency. Limited financial resource, yes, they are facing a lot of the financial problems. Members should be trained in judicial procedure. Yes, because why this point is there? Even though only president is a legal background person, other two members are social workers who work for the 10 years, minimum 10 years in the society. But without president also they can sit and decide the matter. That authority is given to these members. So if president is not there, if he is on leave, these other two members can decide the matter. If they don't have legal background, it's a very difficult for them to provide effectively those decisions. So if that has to be considered, at least not a law graduate, but the long training should be given to these people so that they can deliver effectively. And at the, how much time, sir?
1 minute.
Last slide. Last but one. Last but one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, see, central government is doing a lot of things, and here only I will give you some information about the new bill. They have replaced in definition. We started with the means word. So they have removed the means, defect means. So means word is used, removed, includes, defect includes. So whatever exhaustive definitions were there, they have made it as an inclusive definition, so that new type of defect comes into picture, so you can include that. And deficiency definition, in that deficiency definition they have added another clause that if any, for example, take a doctor, if he is not providing, if he is withholding relevant information to the patient, it is considered as a deficiency in service. Then the political party, electronic form definition added. Then under unfair trade practice, they have added two important things. If the seller is not providing a bill, it is considered as an unfair trade practice. If seller fails to issue bill, it is considered as an unfair trade practice. And if seller discloses personal information of the consumer to others, that is also unfair trade practice. These two are added. And unfair contract is also very good definition they have added. See, security deposit should be equivalent to what they are paying loan. For example, banks are, if they are paying 1 lakh rupees loan, they are asking 2 lakh security. They should not. Proportionate loan they should ask. And penalty for disproportionate thing. For example,
in the absence of a better word, I will use word judges, that the president and members, all the benefits which were there, they very nicely took unto themselves. The state government rules say that the hours of the consumer court should be the hours of the state government, that means 9:30 to 5:30. But the regulation said that they have to sit from 11 to 1 and 2 to 4. These were immediately adopted, and all the consumer judges started coming at 11:15. Similarly, they said there should be some bar on agents. All the consumer bodies who are sending their representatives were barred immediately. And so on and so forth. All the positive aspects which were for the judiciary were taken up. And the liabilities, like coming out with 75 to 100 judgments per month, were conveniently given a set aside. The consumer courts in Mumbai, I don't know how it is in Karnataka, Kerala, etc., still come out with 30 to 40 judgments in a month and give a variety of excuses. But there is no excuse for sitting from 11 to 1 and 2 to 4. Because at 4:01 they will say, the law does not permit me to sit. The law does not permit me. I am willing to sit, but the law does not. So it is 4:01. Thank you very much. Come again tomorrow. So I still say the jury is out on this, because I personally am not convinced that causing amendment after amendment and adding to the already existing work. It's a matter of shame that in places like Mumbai, the Consumer Commission is having backlog of 10 to 12 years, and the city civil court has a backlog of only 5 to 6 years. That means if the same consumer had been to a civil court, he would have got justice by now, but he is still hanging around in consumer court waiting for justice. I am sure Mr. Patki, my very good friend sitting at the back, agrees with me. We meet each other in court, we have lots of tea, coffee, breakfast, lunch. Rarely we do appear in the court when we go there. And the other important thing is, judges are given more power, more power, more power. I hope there is no retired judge or advocate in the audience. Because if I say something, it will be held against me, contempt of court or whatever.
Advocates, yes.
Advocates, yes.
Yes.
So judges, no. No, because I have made an individual survey on this. The last 3 consumer court presidents who came after they retired from their high court got their prostate and cataract surgeries done at government cost when they were consumer court judges. And I, as a doctor, we tell our cataract patients to go to work on the 4th day. The consumer court judges take conveniently 3 weeks leave. Cataract surgery done 3 weeks, and 2 eyes means 6 weeks. Prostate surgery, we send the patient to work in 5 days. These people come up to 1.5 months. Why? I did prostate surgery. So that 1.5 months was some 20 years ago. So I sometimes feel like asking, have you done the old method in which you used to open the abdomen, etc. and cut, or the modern method? But this is the judiciary. So as I said, the jury is out on what is to be done, what is to be not. And the next person will also, I suppose, redress and address the legal aspects. Our next
directly with the topic of my presentation, that is consumer education, right to consumer education. Since morning, we have been actually discussing the importance of consumer awareness. There are so many rights which have been guarantee to the consumers, thanks to the insistence by the UN guidelines, which have been incorporated in the Consumer Protection Act of 1986. Of all these rights, according to me, right to education is the most basic right, because if the consumers are not aware of the rights to which they are entitled, then all other rights will have no meaning. Those rights will have no meaning. So, what are the rights which the consumers have? They must be made aware. Only when a consumer is made aware of his rights, he becomes an enlightened consumer, an empowered consumer, and he would be in a position to protect himself. That is why I said that consumer right to education is a most basic. And in order to carry out this program of educating consumers, what prerequisites we have? According to me, even the quality of the people is also very important. What kind of people or consumers we have in India? That is, what is the profile of Indian consumer? And we all know that in India, 3/4 of the population resides in rural area, and majority of the people who are living in rural area are poor. And if you take the India as a whole, I have some figures here. According to a survey conducted by Martrade from Chennai in 2005, there are 164.8 million households, and 80.7 million households come under the low income group. Now when I say the low income group, that means they are poor, and the poor people are always at the receiving end in the market. Even a rich person finds himself in difficult situation when it comes to market. There is always a imbalance between the buyer and the seller in the market. So when we have this kind of scenario, how far we could be successful in making our educational program a success? I have my own doubts, because morning, we were presented with the findings of the CUTS consumer project, where they have conducted a empirical study covering some 19 states and having 11,499 respondents, and the report says that the awareness about rights among the consumers is very, very low. Consumer Protection Act has been in operation for the past 25 years, but still only 40% of the consumers are aware of their rights. They are aware of the redressal mechanism available. What the government is doing, whether the government of India is having any clear-cut program for creating awareness among the consumer about rights. My presentation is going to focus on this particular aspect. I am happy to tell you that the government of India, through the Department of Consumer Affairs, has launched a multi-pronged program to educate the consumers about their rights. I am going to deal with these various programs in brief. Firstly, the multimedia campaign carried out by the Department of Consumer Affairs through TV, radio, and even print media. And for the proper monitoring of the multimedia programs, wherein video clippings of 30-second spots are telecast in the TV, and even the survey has indicated that most of the consumers gain knowledge about their rights through TV. TV has emerged as the most important medium of communication, and that has been used very effectively by the government. There is an interministerial multimedia committee, and the Jago campaign, which is carried on by the Department of Consumer Affairs, has become a household slogan. Every Indian knows about it. But how far the message has really reached the consumer, it is still a moot issue. So radio jingles have been used to communicate the consumers about their rights. Outdoor campaign has been carried on. Mobile vans have been used, for carrying a consumer message to the consumers. And even print media is used exhaustively by DAVP, Directorate of Audiovisual Publicity, through a network of 400 newspapers. Advertisements have been carried on where the various rights of the consumers have been highlighted. The campaign has focused on issues like ISI, hallmark, BIS, labeling, MRP, weights and measures, and etc. etc.
And people's standard of living has increased. If there is only 42 sticks in a matchbox, nobody would like to go to consumer court. Going to consumer court and getting back that amount, which was done in 1988 under the Consumer Protection Act by a lady in Uttar Pradesh, is not now an experience. Because the standard of principles we can fight. So this is what I am telling you. There is the consolidation of consumer groups, I told you. So consolidation of the issues that has come, consolidation of the laws that has come out of it, because of the Consumer Protection Act. This is one thing. Second is chance or the opportunity which people or the consumers have got now to express their views. As far as institution is concerned, Ombudsman is a very good institution. But the danger is, which is a part of the 25 years achievement, gender also I consider as achievement, there is a dilution of the Consumer Protection Act. How it is diluted? Without nobody's knowledge. Supreme Court gives a decision that telecom is not under Consumer Protection Act. Very small, 3 lines in a para, it says. Insurance says, insurance industry goes before the National Commission or the Law Commission saying that we don't want Consumer Protection Act. Umpteen number of judgments have come on medical negligence, each one confusing more than the other. Now ultimately we don't know whether we can go against a doctor who is a negligent, whether civil, criminal, whatever it is. So this dilution also has taken place. The third form of dilution is each sector wants its own ombudsman, its own consumer grievance forum at the cost of its own. Right now it is not there, but future it will be there. So I think this is one more danger that has come in 25th, even including the amendment what Ashok Patil said. How to consolidate this Consumer Protection Act? How to give some strength to Consumer Protection Act? So I think that is one danger that we are getting. That is shrinking up. But even education. If you see the Supreme Court or the National Commission judgments, how education is now brought out of the Consumer Protection Act. Earlier, even a small things used to come for that way. We are also able to link between various laws after this 25 years. So, starting from Consumer Protection Act to Citizens Charter to Right to Information to Public Service Guarantee Act. Now, morning when I was discussing, Cherry was telling, Rajasthan state is coming out with a right to hearing act, it seems. Right? Government has to hear our views. Don't you think this is an improvement? Irrespective of the drawbacks of the law, at least there is something. As far as the education is concerned, he said about the various number of chairs, that is universities and all that. But I don't think we have been able to forge even a single foot ahead as far as consumer education in a formal way is concerned. PhDs are not considering as a consumer education. There is not a single student for consumer education postgraduate diploma under E2 in Karnataka. hardly 20 people appeared for our, 28 people appeared for a diploma course in National Law School. Okay, this is the first year, let us give some exemption for that. But generally, formalizing education is not taking place. Even the consumer clubs, what we have, we made a study. Of the 600 schools or something like that in Karnataka, which is running consumer clubs, not a single consumer club has come out with a one guide of what is consumer education. Maybe the situation is same all over India. Not a single document available to tell students what is consumer education, how to teach consumer education in schools. Without this basic resource, I don't know how are you going to create awareness among the people, or the students, particularly high school and primary students. I think Government of India's policy need to first focus on preparation of teachers, preparation of materials, and then go out. Then I will give one example each in one case. Consumer courts. Except in cities, there is no cases as far as Karnataka is concerned in district centers. Kolar has 3 cases, Mandya has 5 cases, Bidar has some 10 or 5 cases, Kolar has how much? 7. Not 2 digits is a very rare case in outside Bangalore or Mangalore and some smaller cities. Shumoga, okay, 1 or 2, some 8 cities, 10 cities may be there. So this shows that why a consumer court needs a computer when there is only 2 cases pending. That 2 cases also is decided after 3 months, 6 months, 7 months.
3 years.
3 years. So this is not a fault with the infrastructure that is available, and we had a right to information used effectively for consumer working of the consumer forum. One question, we are releasing the consumer audit report shortly along with National Law School. Only problem, 1 or 2 issues we will highlight the 25 years of progress. Bangalore Urban Consumer Forum gives the decision in a handwritten form. Today, 2 days back, I have received an order that is handwritten. It is most ineligible handwriting. That's why Medical Council of India made a decision that all doctors should prescribe in capital letters. I think similar things will be done for consumer code. It is unequal. Then, second question under the right to information was, are you making it obligatory for the customers to bring your own cover and stamps to get their warrant or whatever it is? They said in orally, no, and all those things. But now we have from RTA, yes, we are insisting people to get, is this consumer code? Working of the consumer welfare fund, myself and Mr. Manjunath Reddy, we have made an excellent class. He has brought a lot of material and all. Around 50 lakhs of rupees have been diverted to flood relief fund. So what I would suggest is, consumer groups after 25 years, please don't stick on to Consumer Protection Act. Let us focus on the governance itself or the state or the consumer protection issue itself, so that this 25 years next 25 years will be more better than the past 25 years. Definitely 25 years, they have some achievements have been done. I think this sort of groups, this sort of organizations, some good consumer groups should think of how to strengthen the infrastructure, how to strengthen the consumer movement, and how to strengthen the consumer education, so that there will be more better results in the next few years. The last point that I would like to highlight is, I will be telling this one. For any service in this country is concerned, 3 A's are there. I have been repeating this one. One is access, the other one is availability, the third one is affordability. Can we make consumer justice accessible to the consumer? Is consumer justice available to the consumer? The last is it affordable? I think if you look at all these 3 issues, we will be able to make a very good beginning in the next 25 years. Thank you very much.
And then say the life was very good. We want people to go back and think. So whatever points I made, my idea was to make people think. In fact, they say a good teacher is one who does not tell everything to the students, but he makes them think so that he goes back home and he accesses the internet, books, etc. So my job is, I am also a teacher by the way, is to make people think. So I am not criticizing you. I am a good guest, just as you are a wonderful host. So thank you very much for calling me all the way here. You said that there are so many acts which have come out, etc., etc. But you know, when I teach law, I tell everybody, in India there are so many acts. The Indian Contract Act, and the Monopoly Restricted Commission Act, and Consumer Protection Act. There are acts and acts and acts, but nobody acts. Nobody acts. In the sense that we have a wonderful act, but on the ground, at the action level, now the Food Safety Act, which is a, as you have rightly pointed out, earth-shaking sort of an act for as far as food safety is concerned. And just see the implementation. It will mean that a large bureaucracy will start taking bribes from a very large number of traders, because for every small thing, there are huge penalties. So, the question is acts and acts and acts, but who acts? So I think we should also think that when we come out with laws for this country, again no criticism, whether we are suited for those laws, whether our system will permit us to have certain laws, and if we are going to get such sort of laws, should they be brought out in phases? You don't suddenly say every vendor on the road should have this. Then 101% the bureaucratic people will start making money left, right and center. Because they will go there and say, you don't have this, pay me this much of sum of money. The one thing I would like to have the discussion on after the other people speak also is, why do people not go to consumer courts? This is a very important aspect. Why do people don't go? It's a very important issue which you have. And last but not the least, you put a question, I am giving you the answer. Can you go against a doctor even now? Answer is yes. Thanks to Jacob Matthew and Indian Medical Association versus Vicky Shanta. Both are very clear that medical profession is not only covered, but it is completely and 101% covered. So there is no problem on. About education, yes, there are divergent judgments. Now, we will call upon some people who are.
And I got a UNESCO fellowship. I went to England in 1975 for a one-year course with a UNESCO fellowship. When I went there, I was in the airport. At that, but you have to listen this, you know. I had 3 pounds that was over and no money to reach the place. Then I was shivering because it's the first trip for me abroad and I didn't know what to do and all. And no one there for waiting and all. Airport will be empty as soon as plane arrives. That's all. Not like here, other people crowding and all. Then one lady came and said, have a cup of coffee. And because I don't sweat anymore, we are here to help you. And she said, I am a consumer activist. Then I just wondered, what is this consumer protection movement? She said, what's your problem? So I am somebody is supposed to come there and take me to the place because UNESCO fellowship arrangements are like that, and they must give me plane that travel charge or taxi or those things, you know. And there was no one. Somewhere there they missed it. Then they said, "Don't worry, you'll get 25 pounds fine." Long time before it was rupees 13 rupees, you know, for 1 pound. When I asked what is this fine and all, I don't know. I just quite had coffee, and then one man said, you go in this car and the other man will give you this much money. Then I went there and one man said, immediately he said, this consumer, you cheated. This taxi man was telling, this fine for you. That plain people has written, pay him so much. Then when I gave the money, I asked him, who are you? He said, he is the professor to whom I am going. You know, it's a bigger surprise. In England, Southampton University. And they asked, sir, I don't know what is this, because how can I make you to take money and all? And said, this is a consumer protection law in England. Because we harassed you, there was no one, I should have made all these arrangements, so you take it, don't worry. Then I thought on coming back, we should start a consumer protection movement in Cochin. That's how I came in this field, you know. Later I studied all those things. I'm just telling you how that. Then we started with the 251 people, and now we have hardly 9 people. Others are not coming. That's the saddest part, you know, it's almost dead. But because I was associated with Professor Manubaisha then, I came to know about him. Then I am still there, and this is consumer protection movement. I am just telling you how they started and the sincerity and all things. Now no such thing. Now latest what I found out is, what we think, we say consumer is a king. I think it's only a legendary head. He is no more a king. Kings are no more. There is no listeners to kings and all. So first thing is we must forget the kings. then he'll be served. We should be politician. Not only politician, one who can dictate. But we don't want people like to be another Hazare. See, he has gone back now from all these things. Once we go about with the consumer protection, we must speak. Now, I don't know, I'm not sure. Yesterday I took one bottle of distillery. I don't know how much is charged, but I think it's charged more. It's written here 15 rupees. But the bill is very high. Now I'm just telling you, how many of you have thought of it? I just studied that. I don't know whether they charge 49 rupees also, but anyway, CRC is, cuts is paying. So I thought they will take it up. I'm not sure about that. No, I'm just like that, what is happening here. So unless just as politicians shouting and dictate, we won't win. That's the first thing I found out. And second is, for discussion matter, no more you should say consumer is a king. Consumer is not a king, he is a politician, he is a dictator. He will say and it should be ensured. We must be able to assert that thing, And another thing is, very important point. See, just see, that's this is in addition to and not in derogation of any other act. So many people come to me in Cochin. They say under consumer court, and I'll tell you why you waste time and all. You come to me just right with all the documents and everything. And we have permanent law adalat in Ernakulam. One big board is there, one judge, district judge, Papachan, he is sitting there. So we go and take and give you no fee, nothing. See, if it's about a water non-availability, electricity non-availability, any public utility, even if it is a plane trip, he'll call the highest man in that available in the area and ask him what is this and get it done immediately, and he is doing it there. So we have permanent law adalat for public utility, very good. Why you go for consumer protection? I tell them, don't worry about it, forget that, it's a useless act. Here is there. And we have now legal services authorities setting up centers up to taluk level. For the time being, it is already started in Kerala, it will go to Panchayat level. So for Panchayat, you go there and tell anything there. Legal service authority will take up. And as all of you will know, if you are below poverty line, they pay you everything up to going to Supreme Court. Advocates are enrolled. They will take our case. Why you go to Consumer Protection Council? And then we go again. Legal authorities say, through mediation we can sort out, through conciliation and through arbitration. All these things we are trying. So now I don't allow anyone to go to consumer court and waste the time, because Muralidhar ji said, why you undergo all these things? Permanent local utility, that's very important, but you just teach them what is a public utility. All this comes there, that's consumer protection. So another one. And again another thing is I want to tell you, now we have textile consumer protection order. All of you will be aware of that. On an all India basis. If you go any shop, 99% of the textile are substandard. It should be thrown out. And so at the same time, there is a machinery there, textile inspector, all these to take your sample. They are all just sleeping and this business is going on. In Cochin, if you come, there will be a board. Those who want to buy saris or anything above 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 5 lakh. So you go there and buy. And you cannot ask any question or anything, because they'll show you here about 10 lakh. Who decides his cost? And if somebody buys a cloth and it is substandard, we have to send it to a laboratory in Kannur in Cochin. The laboratory was established at a cost of 35 crores for testing textiles. But they don't have a single case for testing, because how much money we have to spend there. So on the other hand, if the textile order is implemented, what I am telling you is there is an order. If we can get that order implemented, why should each one of us go for this court and all? You forget that. You tell them food standards and all. Food standards, there are food safety officers. Let them do that, do their business. Then we need not go to the court at all. No grahasama, that all those things are unwanted. Consumer is fully protected because rules and regulations are there. So I teach them what for we have the rules, what for we have the officers. Now I'll tell you one thing, Kerala, food safety under the act, they started inspecting hotels, this and that, all for getting money. Then I told chief man, what you do is, you check the original place. You go to a butchery, or where the fish stall or whatever it is, see, all substandard. These things only are taken to the hotels or anywhere and given for food, you know.
Consumer rights. The unfortunate thing is, even the Consumer Protection Act 1986 itself doesn't make an enabling environment for the enforcement of these rights. Is there any provision in the Consumer Protection Act to say that these rights are enforceable? The answer is a loud no. So you see the definition of the complaint? You see section 14, what does it say? The consumer forum can make certain remedies. Is there anything in the whole of the Consumer Protection Act to make these 6 important rights enforceable? In fact, many consumer fora have passed these orders saying that these rights are not enforceable. So it becomes a joke to discuss about the enforceability and efficacy of these rights. And coming to right to safety, it is very interesting to notice in India we have many regulators, but there is poor and dismal regulation. In most of the cases, the regulators are hand in glove with the manufacturers, producers, to the loss and detriment of consumer interests. I would like to pinpoint a recent example. The Inter-Parliamentary Committee on Health and Family Welfare has come out with a damning report against the drug controller of India. 23 drugs have been allowed into the Indian market without any mandatory pre-trials. And in fact, very interesting to notice that doctors have endorsed stereotype letters by simply signing on the dotted lines dictated by the manufacturers. The Parliamentary Committee has even recommended discipline against the doctors. These doctors are very renowned and reputed doctors working in corporate hospitals. And I have made RTA an application with the Medical Council of India. The stereotype reply is, the matter is under process. So this is the kind of regulation we have. My friend Saroja has mentioned about the Food Safety and Standards Act. Under the Food Safety and Standards Act, there is a provision which says, if any manufacturer comes out with a therapeutic and medicinal food, the burden of proof is upon him to prove that the contention is true. But the Food Safety Authority never invokes its teeth. So far, no manufacturer is pinpointed. We have many food items saying Dr. T, when you take Dr. T, you will become slim, attractive, sexy. And we have many such drugs. We have many such food items. So the unfortunate thing is in India, the efficacy of law depends upon public activism. The regulator never initiates its own proactivism. Even under the Consumer Protection Act, the state government and central government can file cases when class interest is involved. So we see at the grassroots, lakhs and farmers are affected due to sale of shoddy seeds. But how many state governments have filed cases? During the 25 years history of Consumer Protection Act, none of the state government, take notice, has filed a case. So that's a very unfortunate thing. And coming to right to education. So in a country like India, we need to approach multi-pronged approach. But the government, in its efforts and endeavor to promote education, is always ritual, stereotype, and they fail to see the realistic approach. And we know what happened to consumer clubs. So most of these consumer clubs are ineffective. There is no separate department for implementation except the Civil Supplies Department, which is under the revenue authorities. And regarding right to redressal, that the only way that right to redressal can be made very, very effective is changing the mindset of the personnel who man the consumer forum. I beg to differ with my friend Patilji that as far as AP is concerned, we have the consumer fora are equipped with all the infrastructure. They have computers, even each member is given one personal computer. And all the consumer courts have their own buildings. But in spite of this, the cases filed do not exceed 300. But in the state of Gujarat, and we happen to see that in every district forum more than 3,000, 4,000 cases are filed. Where is the, what is the difference? Why the difference? So that is where the awareness plays a very important role. And my friend has said that the judicial training is not necessary for the reason the order need to be a speaking order. See, most of the cases, the complicated, intricate civil procedure is followed. And you see, retired presidents are appointed as presidents. So their mindset is quite different. They refuse to change. So they need to undergo some kind of training to make the law more simple. So when a consumer files a case and he approaches the forum, the very atmosphere is very intimidating. And so therefore the consumer is not able to file a case himself. That's the unfortunate thing. And regarding right to choice, the lesser the said, the better. You know, as my friend Chairman ji has pointed out about the sale of the water bottles at an exorbitant price. And a trend has set in, my dear consumer friends. Please take the note. Please take it into notice. A trend has already set in. In most of the public places, manufacturers are coming out with a dual pricing system. Same product, same quality, same package, but different pricing. And competition is eliminated by putting only the products of one manufacturer. You see in railway stations, bus stands. So the product is available at the outside for 12 rupees, but it is available at the bus stands at 20 rupees or 40, 30 rupees. But I don't understand, my friend is saying about the order given by the Competition Commission. I find the same case before the Competition Commission. The name of the case is Consumer Guidance Society versus Coca-Cola India Limited. But in that case, the Competition Commission very shockingly and surprisingly has come out with an order saying that it doesn't affect the interests of consumers. But in that case, R. Prasad gave a detailed dissenting judgment saying that it is a restrictive trade practice, it stifles the choice of the consumers. And in fact, we have filed an appeal before the Competition Appeal Tribunal. This matter is pending, but I don't know, the same Competition Commission, very interesting. Sir, I need a copy of it for our appeal matter. So, the thing is, so there is my friend Muralidharan has said that there is a lot of policy shift towards consumers, but sorry sir, I beg to differ. Now we are in a strange state. The quality of the consumer movement, which was there, is not there now. Earlier the consumer movement was like a guiding force, but now the consumer movement is facing a severe crisis. In fact, the corporate lobby has made the consumer policy to tilt more in favor of the corporate houses at the expense of the consumer interest. It is true, the policy is there, but who will enforce the policy? So we have policies after policies, but ultimately consumers are suffering. So I would like to make some important suggestions. What we need is, we need effective and workable networking of consumer organizations. That is the only answer.
But our population is only 14 lakhs, but we received 26 lakh tourists last year. Government of Goa has decided to bring this number to 50 lakhs in the next 2 years. I am raising this issue because we have two conflicts. One is the right to live versus the right to holiday. Can a consumer who says, I want to play golf, take the water from the farmer who is also a consumer and who has to grow paddy? While I place this conflict before you, because this is going to happen in your own states, many people tell me that our problem is poverty and not and development and not tourism, I can tell you there are many states across the country where Government of India has planned a policy for forming special tourism areas. They will withdraw the powers of the panchayats. In Maharashtra itself, the Sindhudurg district has been declared as a tourism district, and 80 kilometers of the beach of Sindhudurg has been declared as a special tourism area. I visited some of the places there, and people still consider STA as State Transport Authority. So I would just caution you about this. The conflict carries on, but I still emphasize the point that the tourist is also a consumer, and therefore the tourist also has a right to be informed, the right to safety, etc. The tourism department in Goa could not clock more than 3 complaints out of 25 lakhs. So this is one issue I would request all consumer organizations to take up with your tourism department, the right to complain of the tourist when he visits your state. We have articles which do not have MRP, they are sold in Deutschmark, pounds and dollars on the coastal side. And we find that there is no mechanism to deal with this because the tourist is exploited. So there is this conflict which I would like to place before you.